My name is Noe Perez. I live in Corpus Christi. I grew up in Falfurrias, which is a small town in South Texas, and I've been in South Texas really all of my life. So my main subject has always been South Texas, kind of going out to Big Bend, hill country, and that sort of thing. I've been painting almost all of my life, since I was a middle schooler. I took some lessons with a local artist teacher, and she taught us the very basic stuff of paint and mediums and canvas and stretching and that sort of thing. But I've pursued it since then. So I finally left my engineering job a little over 2 years ago, and so now I'm painting full time. When I started out, way early on, I started copying paintings that I liked, and I tended to go toward Western art, Russell, Remington, those kind of things. And so I did some of that, and then at some point the landscape kind of captured my imagination. When I discovered the early Texas guys in San Antonio like Salinas and Onderdonk and Robert Wood, that really caught my attention, and I went in that direction. But when I did the King Ranch project, I almost had to do some of the horses and cattle and so on that, of course, they're known for. So I went back to that a little bit, and I really had a lot of fun with it. So I'll probably be exploring more of that at some point. Mary went to the X-Bar first, and when she saw what was there and just it really is a glorious place. She asked them, hey, could I invite some of my painter friends out here? And of course they were like, of course. So she asked, Jeri, David, and myself. So we all went out there. And, that's way on right by the New Mexico border. So on our way back, we went to the Caldwell Ranch because she knew, I knew Pam and Will also, but I had never been there. She knew them, and she had already been there to paint before. So we all said, hey, let's go to the Caldwell Ranch. And we went there and met them, and they're also very accommodating. So we went back to the Caldwell and painted there, and then we started thinking about how about 4 artists, 2 ranches, and so on. And then I don't know where the 4x4 came from. If it was probably Andy would have been involved in that. So we picked up the Hershey and the Powderhorn, and that's what all of this is from. When we were at the X-Bar, they had a couple of like 4-wheel mules that they let us use. So we really could go just about anywhere. So we split up, and it was usually David and Mary were in one buggy and me and Jeri were in another one. And we would just go. There were roads, obviously, but we could go off of that and find spots that we liked. So, we all gravitated to the big canyons that were there, that had water and so on. But we pretty much had a run of the place. And same at the Hershey. Andy had a buggy that we could use, a 4-wheel mule, and we all used it. So we went wherever. At the Powderhorn, it was a little bit different in that, and we basically stayed on the roads because we were just in our vehicles. But Mary likes to grab her gear and she takes off. The other 3 of us usually stay pretty much in the same area, and next thing you know, Mary's gone, and we don't know where Mary is, and 2 or 3 hours later she'll come running back. So she tends to run off on her own. But no, I really enjoy the plein air work. I don't know, there's something different about, and not all the paintings that I do anyway on location are finished to be shown kind of thing. Some of them really are like taking notes in oil, And so I do that, and I take lots of photographs, and that's what I use back in the studio. But I really enjoy the plein air work. Being out there, you really, it's like you're recording everything when you're painting. You remember the weather, you remember it was windy, it wasn't windy, what you were battling with. There's something about being in that moment trying to capture what's in front of you, that you capture really what's everything. And you go back to that painting and you kind of remember all of that. Yeah, because a lot of people sketch with say a pencil, or some people actually take notes. I mean, I've seen a lot of artists that they'll do a very quick sketch and then they'll put color notes all around it. You know, even though I think our work looks pretty different, you know, when you look at what the next guy is doing, you know, for me anyway, I always go, oh, you know, I didn't notice that in that. It's like I always pick up something from them. And also, like in preparation for the show, as we're getting close, Jeri or Mary or David would post something, and I would see it, and I'm like, I know where that is, and oh man, these guys are doing such good work. I don't know that my work is going to be standing up to their work in the gallery. So it gives me that I need to up my game as much as I can, because I see what they're doing, and it's a little bit intimidating at times. It's not a competition. It's not like you can say this is better than that or anything. But when I see what they've done, though, I think, oh man, these guys have really pushed what they're doing, and I need to do the same. So it kind of makes you, I think it brings out the best probably in all of us. I think that I tend to prefer seeing a vista, that you can see a horizon that's in the distance. And a lot of times being like at the X Bar in these canyons, I mean, it was almost like you're in a box, you know. So for me, that was a challenge to try and get used to that. You know, when we go out to paint, or when I go out to paint, I typically tend to one of my usual subjects. You know, I like painting trees, I like painting those kinds of things. And always to start out the trip or to start out the day, I'll do something that maybe I have a little bit more familiarity with. But once I kind of get used to the area and maybe the colors and the feel of the place, then I'm trying to capture something that I haven't done, you know, something new or something more challenging, as you mentioned. And it doesn't always work out very well, but that's the goal. You know, I think I need to take on new things, you know, explore new possibilities. If I do a painting, say with some oak trees or whatever, it could be hill country, it could be even on the Caldwell, there's a lot of oaks. But if I put some cactus in the painting, it almost always takes it back to more like South Texas. The primary message, I think, is that look at all of the work and appreciate the different perspectives that are on display here. You know, even though we have some paintings here that are quite similar in subject, but the way each of us handled those paintings, I think, is quite different. And look at the way that we kind of came together and did this in a very collaborative fashion, really. And hopefully it's going to keep going a little further. I think people should kind of embrace the diversity of our visions here, the way that we tackle the same subject, you know, kind of in a pretty different manner. If this doesn't illustrate that to you, then you're missing out, because I mean, we go out and we literally can set up from me to you looking in the same direction, and our paintings are quite different. So, I mean, I think that's just a reminder that, you know, we all see everything quite differently.